Enlightenment philosopher John Locke once said that power cannot be privately owned and property cannot be publicly owned, otherwise humanity will enter the gateway to disaster. If you think about it carefully, this statement is quite reasonable. For example, why did China's reform and opening up achieve such great success? It started from the countryside, namely Xiaogang village in Fengyang County, Anhui Province. In 1978, Xiaogang village could not survive. Villagers did not have enough food to eat every year and even had to beg for food. Therefore, 18 farmers signed a life and death agreement, and Xiaogang village assigned land to the farmers. As a result, there was a bumper harvest in 1978. In 1978, the grain production in Xiaogang village was equal to the sum of the grain production from 1955 to 1970, a total of 15 years. In terms of oil crops, the production was equal to the total production of the past 20 years. Income was 20 times what it used to be. I was skeptical of these figures when I first saw them, but when I checked online, I found that they were real. When people work for the public sector, they might not work as hard as they would if they were working for themselves, which is determined by human nature. We can guide human nature, but we cannot change it completely. Therefore, the idea that we should respect human nature is central to the advocacy of SHAO. We can guide human nature, but we should not expect to change it completely. We as a species are human beings. We are not gods or immortals. There is something we cannot change. We must respect human nature because we are a specific species. When designing the future society, we must respect human nature in every aspect. This reminds me of a saying. In our rural areas, if many people sit in a boat, the boat will leak. If 2 people raise fish, the fish will become thin. This means if everyone is on the boat, no one will take responsibility, and the boat will leak. If 2 people raise fish, they may try to shirk their responsibilities, and no one will take care of the fish, causing them to become thin. Similarly, we often say, 1 person carries water and he can drink. 2 people carry water and both can drink. But if there are 3 people, there will be no water for anyone to drink. That's the point. This is determined by human nature. We should guide human nature, of course, but we do not expect to completely change human nature. We are members of the human species, and even if you are someone who advocates for noble morality, how noble can you be? Of course, we must promote noble morality, but we should not expect to completely change human nature. If you expect to completely change human nature to design a social system, it will be troublesome. This social system will definitely bring disaster. This is a question about public and private ownership. There is also the issue of power not to be privately owned. As for the issue of property not to be publicly owned that we mentioned earlier, I want to say that currently, private enterprises only use 30% of the country's resources, but they create 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, and ultimately 100% of employment growth. You see, it only uses 30% of the country's resources, but it creates so much. This is not something I said. It's based on the research of economists who study national data, and national leaders have also said similar words. So, power cannot be privately owned. Why can't power be privately owned? If power is privately owned, there will definitely be dictatorship and tyranny, and false words will rule the country. The ruler will try to control the country's governance through absolute power. That's not feasible.
join Save Human Action Organization and devote ourselves to the mighty torrent of saving human beings.